C1music.fm, the familiar. It is your host for the evening, Aaron Robinson. You know how we do all day, every day. And we are back with another one. Tonight, our topic title is Lethal Blow. And today is March 6th. And I got to say, time's going by fast during this year. You look up and all of a sudden, like, we got to turn the clocks ahead this week. It's like, whoa. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's pretty crazy. But for everybody, we always record on Monday nights. The number to call is 908-316-8630. And if you want to join us by web link, the link is meetings.dialpad.com/C1 Productions. I also want to plug my other show. Let's talk about it. If y'all get a chance, definitely listen into that show. We had another good recording this week, so I want to definitely promote it. That will be out next week. Last week's episode is coming out this Friday, and also want to plug this show. This show episode comes out every Thursday evening at 7 p.m. So please, join us, and we'd love for everybody to show their support. If you can't join us on the call, definitely support us by listening to the episode and sharing your feedback. That would be well appreciated. So tonight our title topic is Lethal Blow. My panel is here. How's everybody doing, panel?
Doing good.
Good.
Great.
Good. All right, so let's get started. Y'all ever heard that saying, there is nothing new under the sun?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, things that happen today as we worship God have been happening since worship services begin. There are those who are excited, others who are in awe, some who are confused, and yes, some who are asleep. I like to think a person even like Paul, he was a mighty gospel preacher, and he was what I would think a great and profound preacher in his day, and that people would congregate to hear him preach, be all ears. But the truth is that some might not have been interested in him, or maybe some might have found him boring. As great as God is, and as privileged as we are to be able to even worship, I guess the question is, why is it that some people fall asleep in church? Have you ever went to listen to someone preach and they were going for so long that you were tired and struggling to stay awake to listen to the preacher preach?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? Majority of us here. So I guess my question I want to ask real quick is, what made the preacher either so boring that you wanted to fall asleep, or what made the service boring, or what was it that made you want to go to sleep?
With me, I don't think it was service, because when I first came to faith, I used to fall asleep on Pastor Robinson. And he's by no means boring or uninteresting, but I think it was because I wasn't getting enough sleep. So I think that was more a personal health type issue than it was that the pastor was turning me off.
Okay. Anyone else?
To piggyback on that, I don't think there is a boredom or disinterest, and then not even necessarily just on the level of sleep, but still on like health, but along the lines of maybe a bit of mental health. When you are in a space and with people that you feel safe and comfortable with, and especially if you don't get that, like, as she's saying, within like bedtime or those intimate environments, then yeah, you are under sleeping and under comfortable, and now you're in a place where you can, and it's not really purposeful, but it's you're able to get your guard down a bit, open up to God.
Get your guard down and open up to God. Okay. Anyone else? Any other reasons why the sermon or the preacher made you sleepy? I can give one reason. I think some people just have a voice that, I don't know if I want to say soothing, but some preachers who don't really like preach dynamic and they're just preaching, but it's more like they're speaking and not really preaching.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not like with any energy. It's just, you know, that could be one for me. And I think the last one for me would be if they just go on way too long, man. It's like, yo, you went past the time that you need
we've
to be.
had we've had visiting ministers that have gone too long, and I think it's like, I'm not sure whether we slept or whether we just kind of started tuning the person out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else though?
I think that was more like just tuning the person out and start dwelling on when is this going to be over, instead of listening to what the message might be after a while.
Right. I agree. So there was a poll, and the question was asked even to ministers: how long should a minister preach? The poll said the average sermon length, according to one poll, ranges from 20 to 28 minutes. So if this statistic is accurate, is this a telling indicator of the spiritual depth of today's churches? That's a question. The average preacher preaches 20 to 28 minutes. After that, they lose. So is that telling of the spiritual depth of our churches today? Anyone want to answer that?
Well, I'm going to speak for... Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You got it. Someone speak, please.
Okay, for my church, like, I think that he does, my pastor, and I've become accustomed to it. There's 3 services, so 8:30, 9:30, and I think 11:15 or something like that. Whatever. But it's like he's timed. He can't go over. He can't, there's only so much you can do. Like, and I would really enjoy the 8:30 service because I knew I would get out. I'm out by 9:30 and I have the rest of my day. But I still was able to gather everything. It was that they cut down on the praise and worship. And it was more so the sermon. But even having said that, when I went to another church and they were longer, a bit winded, I was like, oh, okay. I did find myself looking at my watch and I'm like, oh man, I am really spoiled. Like at this point, like, am I really, because I'm really like knowing that, okay, this is longer than the time that I spend in church normally. So I was like, am I really focused on the time or am I focused on the word? So I think it can get to that. You can kind of fall into that. Like, like, okay, that time, like, okay, it's time for you to wrap it up. But you just have to, I guess, check yourself because, like I said, in my church, you really can't help it. He's time. He's really has a time limit.
Right.
So.
I got you.
Yeah.
From a pastor's perspective, it was asked how long their typical sermons are. 85% of the Protestant pastors said that they preach less than 40 minutes. The most common lengths of sermon, according to pastors, are 15 minutes to less than 20 minutes. That's 22%. 20 minutes to less than 30 minutes is 26%. And 30 minutes to less than 40 minutes is 28%. Few say they deliver sermons that are shorter than 15 minutes. It was 9%. Or more than 40 minutes is 14%. A poll showed that white pastors are more likely to deliver sermons that are shorter than 20 minutes, while African-American pastors and those of ethnicities are more likely to say their typical message lasts around 40 minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say, Aaron, that I don't think I've ever been to a church where a pastor has preached 20 minutes.
I have.
I'm not familiar with that kind of church.
Most white churches keep it real simple.
Oh, okay.
Get you in and out.
Mhm.
At least the ones up here in the north that I've been to. I don't know about down south.
Yeah,
We're in so long. I may have to join a white church.
I went to one. I don't know. I went to one. It was very long. Started very early, and they had a Jesus rock band and a mosh pit. So I don't know, guys. Try it if you like. I did. I'm not
Yeah.
ignorant.
Okay. Well, I want you to imagine that you and your family was attending a service to hear this dynamic preacher named Paul come into your congregation, and this happened to your son. And now this is my Bible story. I'm going to actually, I have a different story, but I want y'all to imagine this. Okay? And again, the topic title is Lethal Blow. So my Bible story is connected to my regular story because of the title, not because of the content. So just follow along with me here. All right. So I am reading Acts chapter 20. I want to read verse 7 through 12. And again, I just want you to imagine that you were in this Bible day and y'all heard about this prolific preacher named Paul. And the scripture reads, on the first day of the week, we all met together to take bread, and Paul spoke to the group because he was planning to leave the next day. He kept on talking until midnight. So we read on this verse that my man was stretching his preaching out. All right. So he kept talking until midnight. Verse 8, we all together in a room upstairs, and there were many lamps in the room. A young man named Eutychus was sitting in the window. As Paul continued preaching or talking, Eutychus was falling into a deep sleep. Now, I want y'all to imagine that young Eutychus is your son. Finally, he went sound asleep and fell to the ground from the third floor. When they picked him up, he was dead. So your son died while listening to this prolific preacher, Paul, who decided to go until midnight to preach. I want to get y'all immediate response from this.
I'm upset. I'm heartbroken. My son is gone. He fell asleep. He was sitting in the window and he fell asleep and he died.
Okay. What would you want to hear Paul speak again?
Did he fall out of the window?
He fell out of the window. Fell down to the ground.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you can't put
Can
that
you
on.
blame that on Paul?
You can't blame it. Yeah.
That's what I'm
Yeah, he
asking.
shouldn't even been sitting in the window.
The only way you can blame it on him is if the whole church fell asleep. Then you could say, okay. But
So
that
your
doesn't
son,
sound like it was the case.
okay. So your son passed away.
You can't even.
Your son passed away, Eutychus, and he fell out the window because Paul was preaching way too long. And y'all saying that y'all just gonna be like, all right, well, it's not Paul's fault. It's just my son fell asleep, fell out the window.
Yeah. None.
I wouldn't want to hear Paul again.
You said you would or you wouldn't?
I wouldn't want to hear Paul for a while. Paul may be killing us all.
Okay. Anyone
You
else?
used to anyway.
All right, so we got one for no Paul. I
would say no, just because he talks too long. I would lose focus.
So it had nothing to do with your son passing away.
But Aaron's not saying that the parent lost focus. He's saying that the child, the son, lost focus.
And I'm saying I would too, because if you're going on and on until midnight, but I just wouldn't be in a window. But I wouldn't blame him, though.
You wouldn't blame him, but you would be. So what's your reasoning for not wanting to hear him preach again?
Because he talks too long.
Because he just talks too long in general?
But how about if he's talking long, but he's really in the spirit and God is using him and what he's saying, he's actually
bringing forth the word, and it's touching people's hearts and changing people's lives. So would you be saying God is too long?
Who are you?
Well,
You
I'm
asking?
just,
You asking the group?
I'm asking, yeah. No,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
saying
I wouldn't
because
blame Paul. I wouldn't blame Paul. Like I wouldn't blame Paul, and I
mm-mm,
would go see him again. Matter of fact, I'd ask him, can he preach my son's funeral? I mean, since
exactly
he was there,
for
you
free.
know. Well, I ain't
You
saying
want
that,
him to preach
but
your? You
I'm
want
just
him to
saying.
preach your son's funeral?
Yeah, I mean, my son. Let me tell y'all something. Let me tell you how this hits. I worked third shift Saturday night, and I literally dozed off in church on Sunday. And my pastor doesn't even preach long, but I was so tired, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I dozed off like a couple of times, and I was like, oh my gosh, like when we sat down, um, and if I would have fell out the chair, because actually I was sleepy when we stood up, when we were standing up, and I said when we stood up to pray, and I said I better open my eyes because I'll fall off this, fall forward, and I was on like a balcony, so I wouldn't have blamed the pastor.
But
Mm-hmm.
let's say if the pastor kept going though, he kept going.
Yeah, but I
Then
knew
get
I
up
was
and
sleepy.
go.
Like
Get
the
up
first
and
time
go
I
outside and
dozed off, I knew. Yeah, I wouldn't sit in the window. The first time I dozed, because Greg, my son, was like, "Lean your head back," and I was like, "What? If I lean my head back, there will be no waking up."
Mm-hmm.
So so I sat forward because I knew I was sleepy. So I don't think I would sit in the window. Like the first time I thought I was sleepy, I'd probably get out the window.
All right,
Not
so
blaming my son, but I'm just saying, like, I'm
I
not
got
blaming
you.
Paul.
So I got you.
But
So
I understand what Carol was saying about if it was really good. Now I know a minister, and to me he goes very long, but I enjoy every minute of listening to him. I could listen to him for hours because he's just that good. I don't know if some of you had heard of Liston Page. He's just to me that good that I could listen to him for hours. But then, you have those of my own. It just, you go on and on and on, and people then they start to lose interest. So I can't take this.
Because I guess too though, we have to look at too though. We'll feed our flesh a movie for 2 hours, or other. We feed our flesh whatever, and have no problem with it. But yeah, we do have a tendency to go, if somebody is preaching or something, we do have a tendency to go, oh, that's too long. But then sometimes if we think about some of the other things that we give that attention to.
Let me play devil's advocate real quick though. And I like what you said earlier. You said if the preacher was preaching dynamic and he
I'm
was saying
saying
a
if,
good word and whatever the
God's
case may be.
presence is there, and I was listening to someone today, and on TV, on YouTube, and while she was sharing, you could just feel the presence of God coming through. It was like, wow, it was like God was here. That's how powerful what she was saying. And you could just, what I'm saying? So you could just sit and listen to it. It just so happened that it was like 3 people. She went off, and the next person came on. The next person wasn't as good as her. She kind of changed the
vibe.
But
yeah.
But
Let me say this though, because and the reason why I said I want to pay devil's advocate, because I actually personally experienced this visiting a girl I was dating in another state, and didn't know like we were planning to be in church just about every single night.
All day.
It wasn't the plan. But this one particular night, the pastor got up. The choir sung, like normal, the choir sings. And then the pastor got up and he just started talking. He was just, he started out shouting for just again, the choir, the atmosphere was there where he was, just started getting up shouting and stuff like that, and he just kept going and going, like with the whole shouting and stuff, and hooping and hollering and so on and so forth, and it was crazy because this went on for about, I want to say, almost an hour, just hooping and hollering, right? And first you stand up, you worshiping and everything, and then it's like, yo, man, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? And he just kept going. And then after that, he called for salvation, and church was over. And so what messed me up, because I was like, all right, this is way too long. Like, we stretching it here. And the girl I was with, she was at the end, was like, yo, that was the great message he preached, Pastor preached today. And I'm like, what? And I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. I'm like, yo, he didn't even give a title. There was no, yo, I'm coming from, Matthew. It was just straight hooping and hollering, and there was no like meat to it. There was no word. And he was stretching it for like mad long. So I was like, yeah, you know what I mean? So and with me saying that, I'm saying that if the spirit is moving, because there have been times at our church where we went, longer than normal, but people were worshiping, the spirit was moving. But just sitting there listening to somebody hooping and hollering, and they trying to, get people to shout, and then 10 minutes later they trying to get it to go again, and it's like it's being forced. It's just not a healthy situation. Now, I say all that to say, in verse 10, Paul, he went down to your son Eutychus and knelt down and put his arms around the young man while he was dead. And he said, don't worry, he's alive now. Then Paul just goes upstairs. He broke bread and ate and spoke to them for a while until it was early morning. So he kept talking. He chatting up, keeping them up all night until he was ready to bounce. But they took the young man home. Your son was alive and were greatly comforted. How y'all feel about that? He healed your young lad. Y'all, if he healed him, y'all would want to stay in church for another 30 minutes? Can y'all give another 30, 40 minutes for praise and worship at church past 12 o'clock?
Oh, definitely.
Definitely.
Most definitely.
All right, that was kind of like my opening here for Lethal Blow. All right, so I'm going to tell you now, that has nothing to do with my actual story. I just wanted the tie into that is just the lethal blow, meaning that your son passed away from listening to somebody preach. Okay? And the connection in this is I wanted to try to connect y'all with it being your son versus it being some random person falling out the window. So in this story that I'm about to hit y'all with, it's kind of sort of the same in the situation, but it has nothing to do with preaching at all. Are y'all ready?
Yes.
Okay. I want everybody to meet Tyrone. He is your son and is a police officer. Since he was young, all he wanted to do was become a police officer. You and your spouse is proud of your son because he is moving up in the ranks, and with his next promotion, he could become police chief. One sunny afternoon, Tyrone was getting Dunkin' Donuts and some coffee, and this young lady drove past him, speeding and almost hitting some kids on the side of the road who was crossing the street and just made it on the side of the road. Tyrone decided to give chase and eventually caught up with the young lady and pulled her over. When Tyrone pulled her over, her car was a little bit past the railroad tracks, making Tyrone police vehicle sit exactly on the railroad tracks. He told her to move up, more, but she was acting weird as though she was on drugs or something. So he immediately got out the car and called for backup, and in particular, a female cop to handle the young lady. With his hand on his gun, he told the young lady to get out the car and follow the directions of his voice. By the time she opened up the door, Lisa, the female cop, was on the scene and pulled up on the side of the road. Tyrone told Lisa to arrest the young lady as he would check her car for drugs or to see if she was drinking or anything. Lisa handcuffs the young lady and puts her in Tyrone's police vehicle and then proceeds to help Tyrone search the car. As they are finishing the search of the young lady's car, a train comes by and hits Tyrone's police vehicle, killing the young lady immediately. The ambulance is called to the scene, and eventually her family is notified on what happened. The news reporter states that her family is furious and wants Tyrone and Lisa, the second police officer on the scene, to not only get arrested, but also be charged for murder for killing their daughter. A few days later, you find out that the young lady parents go to your sister's church, which is Tyrone's aunt, and your sister is reaching out to you and says that the young lady parents wants to speak with you about the murder of their daughter by your son and his fellow officers. The question I have for you now is, would you agree to meet with the parents? Why and why not? And what would you say to them?
Well, why in the world did the cop park his car on the train tracks, and then once he was gonna put the lady in the, shouldn't he have backed off the train tracks? I mean,
Exactly.
Or
back
put
off
her
the
in
train
the other
tracks.
vehicle when
Well,
she showed
well,
up.
you shouldn't want to leave a car on the train tracks regardless.
Yeah, I feel like the officers were definitely at fault. If nothing else, they shouldn't have put her in a car that was on the train track.
On the train track. That's stupid.
Yeah, they were at fault. I mean, I wouldn't call it murder. Wow.
That was negligent homicide.
Yeah.
It's like, why would you, put her in the car, handcuff her. Well, actually, even if they didn't handcuff her, she was in the back of the police car. She wouldn't have been able to get out without moving her on the tracks because you were so focused on finding drugs or whatever.
Okay, so let's say you spoke to your son and your son said he didn't tell the police officer to put her in his car. He thought that the young lady was going to put her in her car that was parked on the side of the road.
That makes some sense. I mean, that okay. But also, why did you move your car off the tracks anyway?
Yeah.
Once the other officer came, you should have moved your car off the tracks. I mean,
you should have never put on the tracks. I mean, why would you park your car on the track?
The way that she was pulled over, the tracks was right there, and he told her to move up, but she was acting very weird.
Then I would go around her and park. I would not be parking on the tracks no kind of way. You never know when the train is coming.
I agree.
Right.
So the question still is at hand that this is this family goes to your sister's church, not your church, your sister's church, and they want to speak to you because you Tyrone's mother. Would you speak to them?
They'll be in my prayers.
I'm not talking to them. No, this is a police matter. I'm not doing it.
Yes.
Yeah, they have my prayers.
Yes.
You don't have anything to do with it.
Yeah, I'm not talking to them. This is a police matter, and you all are in my prayers. This is a police matter, though, so probably we would be best not to talk about it.
Y'all saying that y'all also agree. Now, mind you, this is your son that you're talking about, but you're saying that for negligence, your son is at fault.
All the more reason why we should not be talking to them.
The truth is the truth. But I mean, I don't have to tell them that. I don't think I think I would just stay out of it. Well, first of all, I'm just going by what he said. I wasn't there. Yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I'm saying, they'll figure it out eventually, but I'm not getting in it and say nothing. That's for them to all figure out court-wise and whatnot.
Y'all don't think that y'all owe them a conversation? Especially off the strength that your sister is like being bombarded by them by, wanting to talk to you?
No. Sis
My
might have to
sister
go
can
to
tell
another
him.
church for a little while.
No, I mean, no, she doesn't have to just tell him. She just tells them that, I have nothing to do with that. Let the courts will take care of it and whatnot. Yeah, and that's it.
You hear that, June?
That's right.
You gotta figure it out. Sister Nance, you gotta figure it out. Sister Plummer said she ain't rolling with you.
No, I'm not getting involved.
Mm-mm.
Like Lady C said, I'll keep everybody in prayer.
Now, I want to ask if this was your child that was in the car and you knew that the person that goes to your church relative was the one that son was the police officer, would y'all want to talk to them?
I wouldn't even talk to them.
But to what purpose, though?
Yeah.
That's the police. He's the police chief. I mean, or going to be the police chief. He was the actual police officer that pulled her over.
They have no pull. They have
You don't
no
want no
sway.
explanation. You don't want no explanation.
No, I wouldn't want.
Read the police report.
Wow, that's what you saying to. That's what you would want them to say to you if you want explanation to why your daughter was put in a police car on a train track.
Yep.
They would just say to
Right,
you,
but
the mother can't answer that question, though.
Yeah.
You would want to know, and you probably would want to have conversation, but you still at the same time would have to understand that it wasn't them. That that's something that they're going through too, and the court and all of that, and the police report and everything. All of that will work itself out. It's nothing. It's nothing that the parents could say, or the sister could say, or whatever.
And if they were inclined to say something, that could definitely go against them in a court of law.
Mm-hmm.
by saying
You
what?
never talk about. Go ahead.
No, I'm sure that you probably would have questions and want to talk to the person, but to the other people, but you'd have to understand that they don't want to, they don't want to be involved in that. They don't want to say anything. It's best that they stay out of it. And I don't think that I would have to leave my church or anything for that. It's just that that's a bad situation that happened. But I would say within myself or to my sister, man, that was stupid to be parked on the railroad tracks. But I ain't going to say that to nobody.
So who do you blame? Go ahead. I'm sorry, Carm. Go ahead.
As a parent, I would be upset. But if I feel like no one's listening to me, no one's hearing me, I wouldn't go to a family member of the people who were involved. If I'm going to the officers and to the police officers and I'm not getting anywhere, if anything, I would go to the media so it would get attention, so that it would move along, it wouldn't get swept under the rug. But I'm not going to go to family members because that's not going to help anything. It's just going to get messy from there, and it may be the negative or opposite effect of what I needed to do. It won't help. It can hinder and hurt.
Got you. All right, so I want to make sure I'm on the page with y'all. So y'all saying to me that regardless of it being your son or not, that y'all blaming him for the young lady being killed in the car that he didn't put her in.
No, I'm not saying that. It's between him and the officer that's with him. If the officer that's with him put her in the car on the train track, it's kind of like, shouldn't he have been paying attention at least a little bit that she's not being put there? It's ultimately the officer to put her in the car. But still, like, this is your partner or the person who's there with you. There should be some communication. Hey, put them in the car over here, secure them. Don't put them on the train track. That's not secure.
So who do you saying? Who are you saying is at fault?
ultimately the female police officer that put the suspect inside the car on the train track. But he's involved too because both of them were there.
Both of them.
It's on both of them. Even if he wasn't paying attention, he should have been.
To me, he's got a lot of the blame for parking his car on the railroad tracks, because no matter if she put her in the car on the railroad tracks, and the train still could have killed them all because of the fact that you hit that car flying off somewhere. Anybody could have got killed. So I'm just saying that person holds a lot of the responsibility too, even if the other cop was not thinking or whatever, missing her training by putting him in a car on the road. Just being for the cop to park his car on the railroad track for whatever reason just does not add up. It doesn't make that much sense. So, you go, I just can't imagine you parking on the railroad track. Go around the car, the lady or whatever, go around her. I would even be moving her car off the railroad track before I'd even be trying to check it.
I agree with you. I'm bringing this story up because this was actually a real story. This actually happened. Me and Carlotta was talking about it. But if you was to see the video, by any way, shape, or form, do I think that the police wasn't wrong for parking on the train? But the way that the situation was set up, it wasn't like train tracks where we look at today, where we see I don't know, the train tracks that you drive over usually, they're simple. You can see that they're train tracks. Not to say that you couldn't see that these were train tracks, but I don't even think that when I seen obviously when the train was coming, I didn't even see any of the, how the thing comes down and the lights are flashing or whatever. I don't in the video. I didn't even see the gate coming down or anything of that sort on this particular road. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't there. It just wasn't in the pictures that I've seen or the video that I've seen. But it was like a normal road. It wasn't like a I don't know,
raised track.
Yeah, it
in
wasn't
my
like
mind,
raised train
I'm
tracks.
thinking of the tracks by my house. While you telling this story, I'm thinking of the tracks, by my house, and I feel they're low in the ground.
Hold on,
but I still can't imagine parking on them.
So I would say these tracks are a little bit more like on New Brunswick Road, going either towards Pepsi, or I would say more going towards where you in South Plainfield and you got to make that little hook to go to Stelton Road. They're kind of like that, where they're not like raised.
Yeah.
They're just tracks that are in the middle of the street.
Whereas
where you live at, those train tracks are raised. So you'll be more on a mountain and stuff. Like you'll be on a off slant if you was parking on the. That's not a place where somebody will be pulled. Like if they was pulling over, if the police officer was pulling you over, you will drive past the train tracks and then pull over.
Yeah.
This was one of those things where the train tracks was kind of like part of the street, so the person just pulled over, causing the police officer. I'm not justifying what the police officer did at any point in this situation, but I am giving y'all a scenario where he knew he was on the train tracks, but it wasn't planned. It wasn't like it was.
So what was the final disposition of the case?
I didn't get into the case. I just seen what happened. This was just things that happened on police watches. It was one of those type videos.
I can see if you talking about like over there by the Pepsi place where you go across and then they got that big old warehouse and the tracks kind of go long and you have other trucks going back and forth across.
Yes.
I can see somebody, but still, once you know that they're train tracks, you don't. But by no means do you stop on train tracks. Maybe because we had the experience or we know about, your cousin being hit on the train,
Mm-hmm.
shit on the train. Maybe that's in my mind and that, but I wouldn't fool with train tracks. Mm-mm.
And I think that's a part of his job to make sure the scene is safe, like to, check the
Yeah.
scene. And if he knew, then if he already knew, then that just takes out, like he should have governed himself accordingly
So okay, so
by
you saying that?
moving off the track.
So are y'all saying that? All right, cool. He's still at fault because he parked his vehicle on the train tracks, regardless whether the
Yeah,
person was putting.
there's probably a law against him in doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I
The
don't know if it
police
is
are
or
at
not.
fault, both of them.
Yeah.
They're at fault.
So would you say to your son that you should go to jail for killing this person?
I wouldn't come right out and say that, but I would say that,
That you're probably going to jail for killing
Yeah,
this person.
thank you.
You should go to jail.
But can I say this? On the other half of that, when you said would and the girl's family would want to speak to his mom, I hear everybody say no, they wouldn't. For what you might say, I think I would let them have their conversation, get it off their chest. I don't have to say anything pertaining to. I could, let them go ahead and get it out and just, then after that, I'm sorry. My son is a good guy and he, I'm sure he didn't mean for the, just something to, to not seem like, I know what you're saying. You don't want to get involved, but I would still let them just go ahead and have their vent and say, and I'm sorry. And then, if I have to, then just go ahead and walk away from it. But
can you honestly think that if someone is so angry and upset with, your son and they're going at him and saying all kind of stuff to you about him, that you could sit there and not say a word?
That's what I was
yelling.
I would have to try and understand. I think knowing that he killed, well, not that he killed, but that this happened, that of course they're mad, they're angry. So I could expect that. Yeah, that I can expect. Now, if
June, I got a question for you. I got to stop you real quick. You were even entertained. So I just want to make sure I'm clear. You were entertained talking to them, knowing that you feel like he killed them.
You be saying, "Yeah, I'm sorry, he did that."
I was
But you're already saying, I'm sorry, my son's a good guy. All that stuff can be twisted around in court.
I would just say, I would just say that I'm sorry. I think I would just let them vent and move on because I don't know. Then to me, the other way, it just seems like you don't. I mean, I understand it, but like you don't care and you don't want to hear it. I don't want to, I'm not gonna talk to you about this and that.
You'll be on the screen and talk about Miss Malloy. They'll have you in front. So now, what did you say you were sorry for?
Who do you call next? June Malloy. For the defense to say, I'm sorry that this happened. What could they do to me for saying I'm sorry that this happened?
Say what?
I'm not saying he did it. What can they do for me to say I am truly sorry, that this happened? Just to show some compassion to them.
But I still want to ask because I'm confused at that. I mean, I understand what you're saying, and whether that's honorable or not, or whether that'll get you in trouble or not is one thing. But I'm trying to fathom you doing it with the mindset of you think he's guilty. Or you think you think he's at fault at killing them? You know what I mean? Like, well, to me, I don't see the purpose of even entertaining that if you also feel like he's guilty too.
I just want to say I'm sorry.
I think even if you felt that he was innocent, I'm saying it's already tough when you lose someone. When people that come to try to comfort you with good intentions, oftentimes there's nothing they can say to comfort you. But if it's someone that you already feel like is to blame or is connected to someone to blame, there's nothing that I wouldn't think there's no comfort that they could bring. Even if I said something to you, it would only be like, why? Your son is stupid. Like, why? There's nothing beneficial that could come out of that, of them talking to you and even if it was to vent.
Well, they're going to be, for one, doing most of the talking, screaming, yelling, whatever it is. Why? They're going to be the ones doing most of it. So,
even if you look a certain way, I'd be like, what you sitting up there looking like that for? Like you,
no, I don't know. I just wouldn't want. I wouldn't want them to think like I just don't care.
You'll be like, where's my luggage?
That must be an inside joke.
Mm-hmm.
That must be an inside joke.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
All right, so no one else is agreeing with June on this one? Nobody's stepping out on faith and thinking that's the right thing to do?
I mean, I understand what she's saying, and you would want to have that conversation. I just think that it might just go south. Well, maybe I would talk to the lawyer and ask him, how should I handle that? They want to talk to me, but I think that he would say no, don't talk.
Why would you have a lawyer in the first place, though?
Well, my son's lawyer, because he would have one.
Yeah, because he's about to go down. But
because he's about to go down.
Yeah.
Bye, family. I love you.
You got my luck. But I don't know. I that's just how I feel. That's just how I feel.
And I understand. I can totally understand what you're saying. I just think that a lawyer would say don't say anything.
But even if the lawyer okayed and agreed, you still would want to do it?
Yeah, I would just let are they just saying, I want to speak to you one time and then leave it alone? Or are they constantly like, okay, I don't speak, and then they coming back another time? I want to, I would just let them, just let them get it out and get it out. Go ahead, and I don't have to say a word. I could just say, I am so sorry, and keep walking. There's nothing, but they're getting it out, screaming, do it,
Is anybody else? If the lawyer said it's okay for you to speak to them, will anybody still volunteer to speak to them?
I would want to fire the lawyer.
You want to fire the lawyer?
Yeah, that would not be good advice from a lawyer.
Yeah, I would. Because honestly, nothing they could say, nothing anyone could say would bring back their daughter. I just don't think I don't think it's wise. You'll see them in court, so you can.
Because then I'm going to think, okay, he's callous, just like his mama, and he killed my daughter.
But I think that their lawyer would be telling them that, you would be explaining to them why you're not talking. Or, I think that the conversations would go back and forth with the lawyers.
So what do you say to the sister that actually goes to the same church as them?
Keep your mouth shut.
This is also a church member that she knows the young lady. How do you expect her, the aunt, to feel about this? To be loyal to? What if she feels the same way, that your son is guilty?
Well, the more reason to keep her mouth shut.
Yeah. Pray. Prayer changes things. Just pray about it, and I can understand. Yeah, I sympathize with the loss of your daughter. Sympathize. Yeah, that's horrible, but I don't want to.
And that's all I'm saying. That has to kind of be said. That's it. At least they got it out.
Interesting enough. Carlotta, when you seen the video, what did you think about it?
I was shook. Like, you talked about it afterwards, and this is real life. It's not a movie. It's not a little clip. This happened in real life. I was shook afterwards because in the clip, the officer that put her in the vehicle clearly knew what she was doing. She said, "Do you have anything that's gonna hurt me, poke me, or whatever?" No. And the woman was asking for her phone. Could she get to her phone? They said no. After we investigate, then you can get the phone, and then put her in the vehicle. And then that was the last conversation this woman ever had. That shook me. Like, the woman wasn't acting weird. She was like, "Well, can I have my phone?" Like, she wanted to be able to communicate with someone to say what's going on, what's happening to her, and she couldn't.
Now, one of the police officers that was there had the opportunity, well, he had somewhat of an opportunity to try to save her, but he went to go start saving her, and then he thought about what he was doing, and he said, "Nah, she's just this is happening."
Ooh.
And
how could he have almost saved her?
Well, because I guess he heard the train coming. I guess because everybody else was kind of like further up. He was by the police car, and he wasn't the original people that it was more police officers that came to the scene. So
wait a minute, he heard the train and knew she was in it.
Yeah, he realized that she was in it, so he was trying to go open the car door.
As the others.
He went to go open up the car door, but I guess timing wise, he looked and was like, "Yeah, I'm not dying too." So, so he just quickly backed off, and then next thing you know, just smackdown.
And it was dark too.
Yeah,
it was nighttime.
This was a nice situation. Yeah.
I hope she didn't even. I hope she was looking the other way, didn't pay attention.
Oh man.
Like they didn't hear the train come until last minute, though. Say that again.
You don't know the end results, like what you don't know the trial or.
Nah, I didn't.
What happened to the
investigate and research it and all that stuff. I just seen it and I showed Carletta it and said, "Yeah, I think I want to talk about this on the podcast." And it kind of like threw me off because I had something else planned, like I said, but I think it was interesting, and the way Carletta was emotionally connected to it after she seen it was like, this would be a good conversation.
Yeah, that's something.
And then me and her was talking. I'm like, yo, so what would you, if that was your family member? Because I mean, they pretty much. I don't even think the girl was even on drugs or anything. She pretty much died for no reason.
He was stopping her because she was driving too fast, or what? What was it?
That was in my story. I don't know why he pulled her over. He pulled her over, and she was acting strange to him. So he called a female cop. He called backup, and then they was giving her commands like, "Hey, back out, walk backwards with your hands up, and then put your, kneel down and put your hands behind your head." And then they went to go inspect the car, while the female police officer handcuffed her and told her her rights. She was like, "Hey, my phone is in the car. Can I at least get my phone? I want my phone." And then the female police officer was like, "Yeah, we'll give you your phone after we finish searching." Like, because I don't even know if they was going to keep her there or not, you know what I mean, or lock her up or arrest her.
So did the car...
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that she was calm, cool, collected. She goes, "I don't understand what's going on. Why, what's happening?"
So I just looked it up real quick. She actually, it was somebody called 911 on her because it was like a road rage incident that someone called and said she pulled a gun out on this guy, another guy in another car.
You looked it up now?
That's quick. How you know it's the right story? She was a
Hispanic lady.
She was Hispanic. She looked like she was Mexican or something.
Huh?
Yeah, she looked like she was like Mexican or something.
Yeah, she was Hispanic. Yep, Reyes. But anyway, yeah.
Wow. She was young?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see?
Yeah, she looked young.
Did you see the train, like the crash?
No, I looked at why she got pulled over.
Gotcha. She got pulled over because she was threatening somebody with a gun?
Yes, someone called the cops on her and said that there was like a road rage and she pulled
maybe that's the
gun
reason
out
why.
on the guy.
Maybe that's the reason why the police didn't walk up on her and told her to.
And they were searching her car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for the gun, probably.
Yeah, looking for a gun or whatever.
Yeah. But that's crazy because that's just hearsay. I mean, So
Yeah, that could have been the wrong person too. You don't know.
right.
Mm. But
Mm.
either way, if anything, she should have wound up at the police station, not dead.
Right.
Yeah, the crash was crazy. I said, "Oh!" Right when I seen that, I
That is
said,
really crazy.
"Ooh!" I said, "Carletta, let me show you this." And then when she seen it, she got
That
all
is
emotional
crazy.
about it. So I was like, "Yeah, I guess this is a good topic to talk about."
Mm.
But it was definitely the crash. The car spent like 3-4 times to the side of the road, and instantly I knew right when I
Send
seen
me
it.
the link. I want to see. Send me the link.
After I seen the crash, I seen the car, I was like, "Yeah, she going."
Mm. Wow. The officers were young.
Young enough. I mean, I don't know. Probably in their 30s. I don't know how old the
Okay, I
actual
just
guy.
saw it.
I don't
Ooh.
know. I don't know.
Yeah. Sorry.
Say what? What?
She said she just seen the accident, the crash, the
Oh,
train
Jen,
coming.
send it to me.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. Okay,
Yeah.
Harold. They're here. They're saying they're yelling, and you're right. There's a guy that but her door is literally open. The car door is open, but then he backs away, and oh my gosh.
Yeah, he thought about it. He was like, "Yeah, let me
Yeah,
try."
I wouldn't talk to the family. Well, he didn't have enough time to be
Yeah.
honest. He would have.
He would have
Yeah,
died.
he would
Oh,
have just been two people dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't talk to the family. I would not talk to the family.
Don't send it to me, okay? This is Nancy. Do not send it to me.
I don't have your number, Miss Nancy.
Yeah,
but whoever else, yeah,
Good.
my personal one.
Carol, send it to me after you get it.
Oh, I already
Okay.
said it to you, Audrey, and I know you're morbid.
Oh, okay. Well, let me just tell you why. Because I was on my way home from work, and the police was chasing bank robbers, and they hit my car. And the police, just like they were more concerned with looking in her car and everything. I'm in my car. My car is totaled. They knocked me into the pole. They my airbag beat my face so bad I thought my eyeballs had fallen out my head.
Oh wow.
And all they kept doing was my car, I helped them catch them. They didn't even concern about me. They're down there. My car is filling with smoke. My windows won't come down. My doors was open. And I'm banging and banging and banging, trying to get somebody's attention to get me out of this smoke, this car. And finally, the guy looks up and he's like, "Open the door." I'm like, "I can't. Otherwise, I get out." And plus, my leg, I had hit my leg up against something. And they finally took the club and bust the windows out and pulled me through the window. But that's what I'm saying. They just get so involved in
that adrenaline gets the flowing, that adrenaline.
what's going on, the other way, that they wasn't even concerned about me.
June, were you worried about your pocketbook?
Yeah, all them pocketbooks I had in my truck. Yeah.
You were worried about your pocketbook?
Yeah.
When you were sitting at that car, you were not worried about your pocketbook.
Carol, when I was laying inside of that ambulance, I was thinking all my bags in that car.
But when you were getting you out that car, you were not thinking about a pocketbook.
No,
this is a
not when they just.
No, okay.
But see, that other thing is different.
Yeah.
That other thing is later.
Yeah, y'all shout out.
She was not thinking about no pocketbook.
Lethal blow. This conversation. If y'all do get a chance to check that out and y'all interested in seeing it, I can get the link and send it to y'all. But I wanted to really see if y'all would be willing to put your son in jail, and all of y'all said he got to go.
He put himself there.
No, nobody's saying that.
I know.
We're saying that we're not getting involved in it. We're gonna let the courts handle it.
But y'all think that your son is guilty as well.
I'm not gonna get involved.
But what you say, Aaron? But
I said y'all still think that your son is guilty in this one too.
Well, he probably going to.
He has some guilt. He has some responsibility. Yeah.
Right, there you
he
go.
has
Yeah.
But I'm
responsibility.
not going to share that with the police.
Okay.
Or the family.
I
They
got
got
you.
video anyway.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. Because somebody recorded it.
The police recorded it.
Yeah,
They have
recorded
cameras
The
on.
police care.
Police.
Yeah, that was a police cam that you see.
Oh
over
wow.
there. Yep.
Mm.
All right, ladies. I thank y'all for joining me tonight. Lethal, I hope this one was a good conversation. At least something to think about. Don't fall asleep in church. We don't want you to lose your life. And,
Oh my God.
have a good night, man. Stay safe. As our pastor always says, be blessed, be safe, be well. And I want to say thank y'all for listening. Y'all have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Y'all send me the link. So y'all send me the link.
I sent it
All
already.
right.
Yeah, you should get it.
Oh, okay.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Jennifer.
Okay,
All
you're
right.
welcome. Love you. Bye.
All right.